It's time for Rashad to review Black Lightning, Episode 3. This is Rashad's review, where we give you the real deal on movies and TV shows that you just don't have time to watch. Before we get started though, make sure to like and subscribe to Color Commentary so you can get even more reviews on movies and TV shows that you just don't have time to watch. Today, we'll be covering Black Lightning, Episode 3. So here's a synopsis. Jefferson Pierce, aka Black Lightning, is still trying to navigate his way after he resurfaces as the character Black Lightning. He's been missing or been out of action for just over 9 years now. After taking out gangster leader Lawanda, now he's trying to deal with home life situations with his youngest daughter growing up, his oldest daughter not showing up, and his ex-wife frozen up. Okay, so you got me. Frozen up is not a word, it's not a term yet. I mean, it probably will be, but I mean, that kind of rhymed. And sometimes you have to do that in order to make things work. Anyway, so let's get into the non-spoiler review. So the non-spoiler review for this, man, I love this show. We are into the 3rd episode of Black Lightning, and it's still amazing. You know, a lot of times with these CW shows, you don't know what's going to happen. I really liked Flash when it started. I really liked Arrow when it started. But after you see plots recycled or logic thrown out the window, you know, I really get kind of sick of it. It is very nice in this show as compared to shows that are so fluffy and illogical, that these situations are so realistic. I love it. I also love the fact that in this particular episode, you get such a change. In the first 2 episodes, he's been dealing with whether or not he's going to be Black Lightning, and dealing with situations on the street, people breaking into the school and kidnapping these daughters. But now he's just dealing with real life situations, you know, watching his daughter growing up and dealing with that, dealing with his ex-wife and how she feels about him being Black Lightning, you know, and trying to hold that family back together. This show is so emotionally compelling. I'm right with Jefferson Pierce with every tough decision that he makes. I'm like, man, like, gosh, like, I really feel what's going on here and all the dialogue. I really feel what's happening here. So it's such an amazing episode to watch. I really enjoyed it. Also, from a sci-fi standpoint, if you watch this episode, you're going to see him develop a couple of new powers. Also, you're going to kind of see Gamby, his assistant, the guy that's a tailor, but secretly more than just a tailor. Hey, it's kind of some Deep Space Nine stuff there, Danny, because in Deep Space Nine, you had a guy that was a tailor. He was a Cardassian, but in actuality, he was a Cardassian spy. In this situation, you got a guy who's a tailor and also a suit seller as well, but he's secretly some type of spy or agent or something like that. So anyway, you're going to get the chance to see that, learn some more about him and see these powers and deal with these emotional relationships. So cool. So now let's ask, should you see this show? What do you mean, should you see this show? Of course you should see this show. Why haven't you seen this show? If you haven't seen this show, you're missing something in your life. If you want a show that is going to give you the realism of some of the the CSIs and that type of stuff. What I mean, like, these are real life situations that you can see really happening to people, not some of the off the wall stuff that happens in some other shows. This is what you're going to watch, what you're going to want to watch. Black Lightning is very well put together. The story is very well done. The directing is very well done. It's definitely worth your time. So now it's time for the spoiler review. So if you haven't seen this show now, there's 2 little bars. If you look on your screen, there's 2 bars. 2 bars that go straight up and down. I need you to push those right now. Push them now. Right now. If you haven't seen the show, push it now. Or push that X button and go watch the show and then come back, because we're about to get into the real deal spoiler review, so you need to go now. Alright, it's spoiler time. So let me tell you more specifically what I really liked about this show. Again, the situations are so realistic. Such a nice change to see his home life. Dealing with his youngest daughter, Jennifer, telling her parents that she was ready for sex. Whoa, kind of mind blowing there. It probably didn't help at all that she looked her youngest that she had ever looked through any other part of the series. Like in the very first episode, you see her all dressed up. She looks like a young adult ready to go live her life. But in this episode, like, she looks almost like a child. Like she has pigtails or something. She just looks really young, and she's talking about her parents. Hey, I'm going to go have sex now on this weekend. Wow, what a tough situation for them, because like many parents, they say things like, hey, I want you to talk to me and let me know. And even if she would say, hey, I think I'm ready for sex, that would be one thing. But she just said, yeah, this weekend I'm having sex. Is that what kids are doing these days? I mean, most of the time I think that, kids, they have sex. Maybe they'll come back and say, hey, I had sex, or I had sex a month ago, or maybe 5 years ago, or maybe the parents found out that kids been having sex after they've got grandkids. I don't know, but this is a definitely interesting situation. Also, Jefferson Pierce confronting the young man, Khalil, that she is going to have sex with, and dealing with him, the whole foot funking situation there. That was hilarious, but it was awesome to see some really good dad skills being put into place there. Also, Anessa's training. Instead of just jumping and just, hey, I've got powers now, look at this. That's not realistic, but really spending time with her as she's trying to figure this whole thing out. I think it's been 3 episodes now that she's been dealing with this and trying to figure out. And she said, oh, okay, it's my breathing. And then, watching the thing drop on her. Now, it probably would have been a good idea when the big refrigerator or whatever it was fell on her. Maybe she should have tried to run instead of ducking, because if she didn't have powers and hadn't figured out her breathing yet, she would have died. So, yeah, Nessa. But anyway, it's great to see her developing that like that. It's also very good contrast to watch Anessa develop her powers versus Black Lightning, who, as far as we know, has always had powers. I'm sure at some point they're going to explain how that's happened, but the contrast between these two characters is very interesting for us to watch. I also like Tobias, the villain of the movie. Tobias continues to be a threatening and very interesting villain. When he stabbed dude through the hand, I've got a pen, Pens can be dangerous too. I think the Joker used a pencil. But anyway, let me tell you something. If you work with Tobias, you need to make sure you got that Obamacare, because he's going to stab something. You're going to get stabbed. If you got that, oh man, I got my monthly meeting with Tobias. He's going to check and give me my annual review. Yeah, dude, you're going to get stabbed. So make sure your premiums are all paid up. But he's such an interesting villain. I like what he says. I like how he carries himself. Even when he had his assistant to still take that shot at Black Lightning. He's not playing around. He's not here for the games. Other things that I liked. Let's see here. Let me just scroll on over here. I need to get like one of those teleprompters, you know what I mean? Gamby, man, who is this guy? Again, the tailor. It's like, why does he have all these holograms and this targeting holograms and all this type of stuff? Where did he get this stuff from? I love the fact that they're not telling us yet, and that apparently there's going to be some type of background that's developed over time. So that's really cool. And even the mom, I think her name is it Lynn Pierce, I believe is her name? Yeah, Lynn Pierce. I like her acting. I don't like the character overall sometimes. But, she comes and goes. I don't like the fact that she gives Black Lightning such a hard time. But her character in and of itself is very compelling. But I love the fact at the end that she had her Claire Huxtable moment where she's talking to Anessa. And Anessa's like, oh, I'm just really out of it because I broke up with whatever her name was. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, you didn't really like that girl. So when you're ready to tell me what it really is, I'll be here listening. Straight Claire Huxtable. Loved it. Great job to her. All right. So now, let's talk about what I didn't like. All right. So here's the things I didn't like about it, and it's not much. Jill Scott's character. This is the first time that I've seen Jill Scott in the character. I'm not sure if she was like Tobias's boss, or maybe she was even to her. Like if you watch the movie Proud Mary, you've got the white mob and you got the black mob. And they're talking very, very respectfully to each other, but neither one is in charge. I kind of felt like that. I didn't really get completely the vibe that Jill Scott was the one in charge. Maybe just Tobias was just being very humble. I don't know. But I found her character to be just a little bit comic booky. Not way over the top. We're not talking like the Riddler from Batman Forever. I mean, just a little bit over the top. It seemed very comic booky. And in a TV show where everything is grounded in reality, where the story is so well grounded, the characters are so well grounded, her character just kind of stuck out a little bit. Again, going back to some of those other shows, they just kind of throw logic out there and the villains are over the top. It wouldn't have been such a big deal, but she really kind of stood out here. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The pastor getting shot. That was kind of predictable. I mean, we saw that coming. Obviously, Black Lightning wasn't going to get killed right there. So the way that they set it up, it's like, okay, obviously she's going to miss and hit the pastor. It would have made more sense if, like, he deflected the bullet or something, you know. That would have made a little bit more sense. Like, if he had turned around and they shot at him and he uses electrical powers to block the bullet or deflect it in a different direction and end up hitting the pastor that way, that would have been a little bit more interesting. But just... We saw that he was going to get shot. What I didn't see coming was Khalil getting shot there. So they kind of made up for that predictable moment by having him get shot. Also, last thing I didn't like about it was the ending. Right before the ending, they had Gambi to delete the images of Tobias. That was kind of interesting. Like, what the heck? It's got some more mystery happening with Gambi there. Well, that really should have been like the very last thing. You know, because going back, it would be easy to forget that scene even happened. So instead of having them hug, going back and seeing Gambi as the very last thing, I think that would have been better. All right. Now we're going to go to everybody's favorite part. That don't make no sense. Y'all love it when I talk about that don't make no sense, because there's always things that don't make sense, and I'm not going to let it fly. So in this show... Okay, I want you guys to know, maybe you're not sure, but like Black Lightning, I also am black. And not only am I black, but I'm also African American. These terms are not synonymous, if you did not know, okay? But generally, if you're African American, you tend to be black as well, but not all the time. But not only am I those things, I also attend churches regularly. I sing and I play, and I can tell you from experience, we don't just randomly start singing. Like, I'm talking about the scene where Black Lightning saves everybody at the rally, at the march there. And the pastor walks up to him, and instead of saying, thank you for helping us, God must have sent you, he just looked at him and just, amazing. And everybody just started singing all at the same time. Okay, that didn't make no sense. That doesn't really happen. In addition to that, if that were to happen, everybody that sings that song knows that you come in on How Sweet the Sound. Everybody knows that. You go, one person sings Amazing Grace, and then the rest of the congregation, How Sweet. Like, that's when people start coming in. Not and then everybody's amazing. That it just didn't make no sense. But maybe they cut it for time's sake. All right. Also, last thing, Lala got choked to death in the last episode, and nobody even cares. Like, he was a pretty important person in the last 2 episodes. It's like, yeah, don't worry about that. You know, we're not worried about that. It's all good. So that doesn't make no sense. But perhaps nobody knows about it. Maybe the police are not revealing that information yet. I guess we'll find out. So we're gonna go ahead and close the show here. Now that everything is said and done, make sure to give this video a like if you liked it, and remember that you gotta subscribe if you want to survive. Oh, one more thing. Make sure you go to the comments, and if you like what I said, tell me that I'm right or tell me that I'm wrong. And that is Rashad's review.